Cosmic fine-tuning, with physics and chemistry conspiring to permit the existence of creatures such as ourselves, is one of the best recognized pieces of evidence for intelligent design. To this, the hypothesis of a multiverse is materialism's only response. Those words are a quote from an article in Evolution News and Science Today. In other words, our scientists realize that our universe is very fine-tuned for life. So fine-tuned that even 13.8 billion years of evolutionary history is not near sufficient time for random chance to have created us. And thus was invented the idea of the multiverse. The multiverse says there is an infinite number of universes. When you start talking infinity, anything can happen. 13.8 billion years is not infinity. But with an infinite number of universes, there has to be one universe that has just the right physics, the right chemistry, the right laws of nature, the right everything for life to have evolved. And they say that universe is ours, the one that we live in. That same article continues on to say that it's the single, dreamiest, most unsupported idea in all science, making Darwinian evolution look like a real solid bet by comparison. Hello, I'm Ed Van Gennep, President of the Museum of Natural Science and History. We're building Nature's World of Wonder, or WOW as we call it, a science center and a museum that's going to show the kinds of science, the information we have from science, which is not consistent with what you learn in schools, what you hear in the media, what you see in movies. It's all science, but a lot of that is ignored or distorted. We're going to showcase this science in a fun, interactive, and exciting way so our visitors are totally immersed in what's happening and learning at the same time they're having fun. Talking about the universe being fine-tuned, what does fine-tuning mean? It means that many physical traits in our universe are set just right so that any changes to them, life would not exist. If they're set so fine, so precise, how did that come about? And how did so many of them all get set to just the right values? For example, the Earth and Sun are just the right distance apart so that we get the right amount of radiation from the Sun hitting the Earth to generate the right amount of heat so that the Earth does not freeze and it does not boil, and thus life is possible on our planet. Our Earth is spinning so that one side is not always facing the Sun, but it turns. That way the one side is not scorched and the other side is not frozen. We get just the right amount of heat dispersion through that mechanism. A more complex example are the masses of quarks, leptons, and bosons. These elementary particles have just the right mass to enable just the right interactions so that molecules can form and life can then form from those molecules. We have just the right ratio of electrons and protons in the universe so that those two can interact, form every atom that's in the universe. There are coupling constraints like the Gauss coupling force, the weak and strong coupling, gravitational coupling. These affect how particles interact with each other and bind together. Then there is the speed of light in a vacuum, and the Planck mass, which comes into play in mathematics equations which control how the different masses in the universe interact with each other and hold together. There is a relationship between the electromagnetic force and gravitational force, such that if that force was less, the universe would not hold together, would have never formed. The relationship between hydrogen and helium, which is important in our stars that produce the fuel, the energy that heat our planets and light our planets. If that relationship was different, stars wouldn't work. On our planet, photosynthesis, receiving light into the plant leaves, producing energy from that to grow plants, wouldn't happen without the sun producing the right amount of light. Infrared light is not strong enough. Ultraviolet light is too strong. But in the middle is the visible range of light that we can see and the light that plants absorb. There are many, many such precise relationships. I haven't even looked at chemistry. It's interesting that all chemical molecules, part of life, are left-handed molecules. There are no right-handed molecules. Why is that? How did that happen? Why does our universe exist? Why are we here able to ponder such questions today? Considering how fine-tuned our universe is, and looking at some of these things and many others we haven't talked about, does it make sense to think we're just here by random chance, by random processes, that randomly all these parameters just came out right, and we evolved over the last few billion years? All non-living elements and all living elements in the universe are so complex, it's inconceivable that they could have come about just by chance over time, no matter how much time you allocate. They must have been created and designed to work the way that they do. If they were designed, there must be a designer, and that designer must be outside the universe. Otherwise, he'd be part of his own design. The only concept we have today of such a designer is our concept of God, a supreme being. A God, the one who wrote the Bible, and therein described how he created things. He said, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." It's the only history book we have of our origins. In his book, he then goes on to describe in some detail of what he did on each of the 6 days of creation. He doesn't go into extensive detail. Science that we study today tells us that, but he gives us a foundation on which science makes sense. Evolution, coming about by random processes, is not rational. It does not make sense when we look at the complexity of everything. Evolution has no supporting evidence. It has some theories which are loosely based on evidence, and those theories are not consistent with a lot of the evidence. We at the Museum of Natural Science and History plan to share this kind of evidence in a fun, exciting way to engage our visitors. We will show what evolution teaches. We will show the alternative, that God, the designer, and how he did things and what he teaches. And then we'll leave it to the visitor to decide for themselves what they wish to believe. We believe the evidence for our creator, designer, God, is overwhelming, that visitors will leave with a new understanding of our origins and the impact that has on our day-to-day life. Will you help us? In a few years, we hope to build and open Nature's World of Wonders, or WOW, as we call it. But we need a lot of funding. If you believe in what we're doing, if you believe in sharing all of science, sharing the truth about science, then please support us. Please donate today. And then when the museum opens, hopefully by 2022, you'll be able to say, wow, I was part of that. I was part of WOW, World of Wonders.